Professor Richard Wolff is with us, the economist, the co-founder of democracyatwork.info. His most recent book, The Sickness is the System, When Capitalism Fails to Save Us from Pandemics or Itself, also available as an ebook. rdwolf.com with two Fs as well, democracy at WRK on Twitter, or Prof Wolff. Professor Wolff, welcome back. The Supreme Court today basically ruled that if you're a billionaire or a giant corporation and you want to pour money down the throat of an individual politician or pour money into a ballot initiative to defeat a carbon tax or to promote, for example, we had a caller just a little bit ago who said that in Ohio, they are passing laws to make it almost impossible to put rooftop solar on your house. And this, of course, is the fossil fuel industry and the big power companies promoting this. That you can continue to do this secretly with dark money. As an economist with an acute political understanding, what does this all mean to you? What does this say to you? What do you think about this, and what do we do about this?
Well, the first thing is nobody should get lost in the weeds here. This is an attempt by the right wing in the United States, and by that I mean the political representatives of big business, of the class of employers, getting their way. They can't quite control the Congress, although they have a lot of influence. They can't quite control the president. Again, they have a lot of influence, but they do control 6-3 pretty much what the Supreme Court does. And so this is the act of the Supreme Court serving those who put them there directly, indirectly, through Donald Trump. You're right, but let me expand on it about what this means. Number one, this allows the secret funding, and of course that's only interesting to people who have enough wealth to fund anything like this. And we're talking the richest people in the country and the biggest corporations, because they have the largest funds to give to any charity. So they can now set up a charity, give it a ton of money so that it appears to the public that the charity, which they'll give some innocuous name to, is doing this, that, or whatever their dirty business is, and you won't be able to call out to understand who's manipulating public opinion, because the donors, the rich people, the large corporations can keep their name secret. Now, I'm no lawyer, and I don't pretend to be, but let me explain why this is as outrageous as I hope most people understand it to be. When you give donors the right to contribute to a tax-exempt charitable institution, you are depriving the United States of America of tax money. In other words, the law had to be passed giving the donor the right to deduct from taxable income of the donor the amount of money given to this charity, now in secret, given this ruling. This is outrageous because we, the people, are hurt by a public action giving them lower taxes than they would otherwise have to pay. And I, for the one, do not understand why we, the taxpayers hurt by this exemption, do not have the right to know who is taking advantage of it and for how much money. And again, to make the point, there is an IRS form called Form 990. All tax-exempt institutions have to file that form. And on that form, they are required to name and give the salaries of the top 5 administrative persons in that entity and the highest 5 paid persons. For example, every university in America has to file that document every year, and there it is listed how much the president of the university gets and the other 4 top officials, and how much the highest 5 paid professors get. No one is questioning that. The government has the right, and by the way, Form 990s are public information that anyone can get, and you can find that out. Why in the world, if we do that to a university, to the Red Cross, or to anybody else like this, we do not require wealthy donors to reveal that they are using a legally empowering piece of legislation to reduce the taxes they would otherwise contribute to support this society, and we don't ask anything in return. This is a service to the richest people, saying you are now free not only to use your money to shape the politics and culture of this country, but you can do it in secret, and you can still lower your taxes by doing so.
Yeah, and you can get laws passed or rules passed or Supreme Court decisions that work to your benefit. And let's make it very clear, all three of these people that Trump put on the court were brought to the court, and literally multi-million, in some cases tens of millions of dollars were spent on public relations campaigns around the country, on lobbying campaigns with members of Congress to get them on the court, and we still don't know where that money came from. And go ahead.
Yeah, it's, you know, you might amend the famous old remark, this is the best money that dark money, this is the best government, excuse me, that dark money can buy.
Yeah.
Yes, you just gave them another favor that they can do in secret what they have been doing all along. It is beyond words. It gives advantages to those at the top. It reminds me of a statistic, if you pardon me, Tom, to get in, that the Bloomberg just released, that over the last year and a half, the 500 richest people in the world increased their wealth. They together, by the way, now have $8.4 trillion, these 500 people. But over the last year and a half, when the world suffered a COVID epidemic, the wealth of this 500-person group grew by 40%. I mean, these are obscene dimensions of the society we live in, and I'm afraid there's no other word that would apply to what the Supreme Court has done here.
Now, I know that you're a student of not just economics, but also the political dimensions of economics. You've written extensively about this. You're a student of for example, Marxism and capitalism and socialism. And all these things are not just meaningful to you. I mean, you've taught them at the university level, and you write books about them. I've written two books that I think impinge on this. The Hidden History of American Oligarchy, which is about how we're basically no longer a democracy. We are an oligarchy, and what we might be able to do about it. And the Hidden History of the Supreme Court and the Betrayal of America, which is how the Supreme Court, starting with the Buckley decision in '76 and then leading up to Citizens United, largely brought us here. Not to say that we haven't always been an oligarchy in many ways. In that context, I'm curious your thoughts. What would you call this form of government that the six so-called conservatives on the Supreme Court are trying to impose upon us?
Well, it strikes me as an oligarchy, but an oligarchy that, to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised. I admit it. I'm surprised that when you get to this level of inequality, when you get to this level of disproportionate political and cultural control by a tiny minority of the people, I would have thought, and maybe this is my naivete, I would have thought that they would be careful not to kill the goose that's laying these golden eggs for them. I would have thought there'd be more than Warren Buffett saying we shouldn't have a tax system this way that keeps rewarding the people at the top who don't need it at the expense of the mass of people who do. But we don't. We have an oligarchy which is almost in an insane way pushing further. It has no limits. It has no boundary. It is literally going to drive itself, in my judgment, to its own extinction. And it's decisions like this that are going to enable it to go even further, which it is determined to do, and which will be, I am really convinced, its own undoing.
Yeah, if for example, we can't change the courts, if we can't succeed over the next few years doing something about this, this is the doom.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done. That's right.
Professor Richard Wolff, thank you so much. It's great talking with you, as always.